Hello, my name is Michael Pelaez, and I'm here with,
Cy Otley.
And Janai Otley.
and we're here to talk about more things we learned in our sixth period American history class. So today's topic is things that surprised us during the Civil War. So the first thing that surprised me when we were learning about the Civil War is that there was a great general on the southern side named Stonewall Jackson, and I've never heard of him before.
Yeah, earlier today I was looking up Stonewall Jackson and said that he was this great military tactician and he was killed by his own men at the Battle of Chancellorsville.
Wait, for real? He died from one of his own men? I found that really surprising because I thought that he was some great general in the war. But to die like that?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I found that really surprising as well because he really was one of the only reasons that the South was winning the war. But after his death, the South got weaker, which allowed the North to eventually win the war.
Another thing that surprised me was that apparently Abe Lincoln was known for really abusing his power. I never thought he'd do that, and I have never heard of that before.
Yeah. I think that I remember hearing about that. Apparently, he created executive orders and abused his power by overriding other two branches with executive orders.
I think that I remember Mr. Delgado going over this a little bit in class when he said that Lincoln used executive orders to claim and use land he had no right to seize, like Ford's railroad tracks.
And the reason why this surprised me so much, because I do remember Mr. Delgado saying this, is that every time someone mentions or talks about Lincoln, I have never heard them talk bad about him. I always thought that he was just a great person who freed the slaves, but it turns out there's a lot more to know once you actually start digging.
Personally, what surprised me the most was the amount of casualties there were in the war.
Yeah, there was an absurd amount of casualties. In total, the deaths amounted to approximately 620,000 people.
That is an absurd amount of people. Like, that is crazy. I can only imagine how it affected the people of that time, because even now, that would be considered like a massacre. Like, that is crazy. I never knew the exact number, even though I knew it was a bloody war. So, honestly, I find this extremely surprising because I'm finding out right now.
Man, I can't imagine how devastating the amount of loss of lives were to the early America.
I can only imagine how weak our military power was after that many soldiers died. You could say that they're uniting the South and North and South. We became more powerful as a whole, but those deaths definitely left a lasting impact.
Yeah, I mean, even if we united the North and South and gained more power as a country that's whole again, I can only imagine that without those soldiers, like Janai said, that we would still be weak military-wise. It's so surprising that we ended up becoming one of the world's leading superpowers today.
I also found an interesting fact about the Civil War that surprised me. I remember something about Mr. Delgado saying that during the war, the North declared that all slaves would be deemed free to anger the South.
After the North declared that the South had to free their slaves, the South obviously refused to free their slaves. But surprisingly, what messed up thing was, when they declared to free their slaves, the North didn't from some of their territories.
I mean, I would be surprised by that too. I mean, that's pretty messed up. I always thought that the good guys in this war were the North, but it turns out that they also did some pretty screwed up things. I mean, if you're going to ask them to free their slaves when it's that important to their economy, wouldn't they lead by example by freeing their own slaves? I mean, it doesn't really make sense to me. But it is what it is. It's what happened. It's in the past. And that kind of wraps up our conversation. So I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope you learned something from one of the surprising facts that we found, and I hope you enjoyed our takes on them. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, and thank you.